Salvete discipuli. So today we're going to review nouns and adjectives, specifically what you learned last year in Latin 2. And to refresh your memory, what you learned last year in Latin 2 was all of the declensions of the nouns, so first, second, third, fourth, and fifth declension nouns, including third I stems. You also learned first, second declension adjectives and third declension adjectives, in addition to the numbers, all of which we will be reviewed in this video. Now, I am not going to go through all of these declensions individually. Some of them you have known for 2 years and you should really have them memorized. You know, somewhere in your memory they should just kind of be living there, right? First declension, I, is, as, is, I. I will remind you that the macron for the ablative singular and the macron over the I in the dative and ablative plurals are important macrons. They're important because they differentiate those endings from other endings that are non-macron, right? That are short, that do not have the macron. For the second declension masculine, I want to remind you that the pattern isn't that hard, but you have to know the nominative singular of the word because that will be what determines what the vocative ending will be. So all second declension masculine nouns that end in us in the nominative singular end in an e in the vocative singular. If it ends in an ius in the nominative singular, it ends in a single long I. The single part of that is important. 2 I's, you have the genitive, 1 I, you have the vocative. Think of the name Lucius, right? Lucius ending in ius. The genitive of Lucius would be Lucii, but if you wanted to say, oh, Lucius, if you wanted to address him, it would just be Luci, single long I, okay? And if you have an R in the nominative singular, then you have an R in the vocative. Now the plural is not affected here. All nominative plural second declension masculines end in a long I, and so all the vocatives end in a long I as well. Remember that the second declension also has a neuter. Keep that in mind because of the neuter law. The neuter law states that whatever the nominative ending is for a neuter noun, regardless of declension, the same ending is going to be for the accusative, singular and plural. So is the nominative ending for second declension neuter, therefore accusative ending is in the plural and and remember that neuter law. Before we move on from the slide, I just want to remind you of one quick thing. First declension nouns overwhelmingly are feminine, but there are some masculine first declension nouns, so keep that in mind. There are a couple of very notable exceptions to that rule. Third declension, okay, for the most part. Third declension nouns, pretty straightforward. There's going to be one set of endings for masculine and feminine third declensions. There's going to be a slight alteration for third declension neuters, and that's because of the neuter law. Okay, so similar patterns, but a slight variation for the neuter because of the neuter law. Third declension, you can tell it is third declension because it ends in an is in the genitive singular. Okay. For masculine feminines, I can't really give you an ending for the nominative because there are so many possibilities. You just have to memorize the dictionary entry for third declension nouns, okay? What that means for the neuter is that whatever that nominative form is in the singular, that's the same in the accusative, okay? And then in the course in the plural, we have that very recognizable ending for the neuter plural and the nominative and accusative, which is the A, okay? Remember that there is a subset of third declension nouns that are called I stems. There are rules that govern the I stems that tell you when a third declension noun is not just going to be a third declension noun, but it's going to be a third declension I stem. For third declension I stems in the masculine and feminine, the only difference between a genitive plural of a regular third declension and the genitive plural of a third declension I stem is that I, okay, the IUM, that's the only difference. Actually, it's a little bit more extensive for neuters. So the difference between third declension neuter regular and third declension neuter I stem is the singular ablative, goes from an E to an I, and then the entire plural has an I. Okay, so ia, ibis is the same, but still I, still there. Ia, ibis, ia. Okay? All right. Noun declensions for fourth, masculine, feminine, fourth, neuter, and fifth. Pretty straightforward. Fourth declension, like the third, can have masculine, feminine, and neuter gendered nouns. The masculine and the feminine follow the same pattern. The neuter is slightly different. You will notice the most remarkable difference between fourth declension, masculine, feminine, and fourth declension, neuter is that almost every case in the neuter singular ends in oo, right? Ooh, oos, ooh, ooh, ooh. For those of you who know your 90s hip hop, I like to think of this as the salt and pepper declension because of shoop and that little part that goes ooh, ooh, ooh. And then fifth declension, mostly feminine, but some important masculine nouns. Masculine nouns that are in the fifth declension, most notably dies, the word for day. Okay, so now that we have reviewed the actual endings and the declensions, and you have written each one of those down in your notes because you have to have all of them written down in your notes, able for me to see them tomorrow in class, I want to review some of the grammar of nouns. Most notably, that nouns have gender, number, and case. We've already talked about by going through the declensions, the three genders. It can be masculine, feminine, or neuter, and different declensions have different genders represented within them. They can be singular or plural, of course, but the most important thing that you need to know, because it's the most different thing from English, is the noun cases. Those are what tell you how the noun functions in the sentence. Specifically, nominatives are going to function either as subjects or predicate nominatives. Genitives function as possession, partitive, genitive, or genitive with the cardinal numbers. Dative is an indirect object, and we'll actually learn more dative uses this year, as a matter of fact. Accusative is direct object or accusative of place to which. Again, there are actually more uses of the accusative, one of which we'll learn this year. There are many different ablative uses, and if you don't have your ablative of what sheet from last year, you should let me know so I can get you a new one. But the ones that we have done so far are ablative of means, manner, accompaniment, from which, place where, place from which, place where, cardinal numbers, time when, time within which, agent, and separation. Okay? And then, of course, there's also the vocative case, which is an address. Okay? All right. Adjectives. There are essentially two broad categories of adjectives. There are first, second declension adjectives, and then there are third declension adjectives. First, second declension adjectives follow the first, second declension endings. Masculine adjectives follow the second declension masculine. Feminine adjectives, the first declension. And neuter adjectives, the second declension neuter. Okay, these are adjectives such as bonus, bona, bonum. Regardless what declension an adjective is, regardless what declension a noun is, adjectives have to agree with the nouns that they're modifying in gender, number, and case. Okay, it's the gender that can get people confused sometimes. For example, a first declension masculine noun like agricola is masculine. It doesn't matter that it's first declension, it is masculine. So if you want to call that farmer a good farmer, you have to decline good as a masculine. So it's going to be an agricola bonus, agricolae boni, agricolae bono, because you're using the masculine adjective to describe that first declension masculine noun. Okay, you should write down these endings in your notes. In addition to this little subset of first, second declension adjectives known as the IUS adjectives or the unus nauta adjectives. Now I have listed down here all of the adjective, all 9 of the adjectives. They're arranged in this little helpful mnemonic, unus nauta. The only difference between regular first, second declension adjectives and these special IUS adjectives is that the genitive ends in IUS for all three. So, excuse me, the genitive singular ends in IUS for all three genders, and the dative ends in a long I. Every other case and number are regular. It's only the genitive singular and the dative singular, okay? And it has to be one of these 9 adjectives. Third declension adjectives, as their name suggests, follow the third declension, okay? And again, it doesn't matter what declension the noun is that's describing it. It matters the gender that noun, the adjective is describing, okay? Some third declension adjectives have 3 distinct endings in the nominative singular, a masculine, a feminine, and a neuter, like acer, acris, acre. There you go. Notice that this does follow the I stem declension, the I stem pattern, by the way. Some adjectives only have one distinct ending for the masculine and feminine, and then another distinct ending for the neuter. Okay, so like fortis, which can be masculine or feminine, and then the distinct neuter ending forte. And then there are third declension adjectives that have the same ending for masculine, feminine, and neuter in the nominative singular. Usually these are going to end in ns or x, right? Like potens, potentus, which is, potentus is the genitive form, right? And this means powerful. So potens can mean a powerful man, a powerful woman, or a powerful thing. Same with senex. Senis is the genitive ending. So senex can be an old man, an old woman, or an old thing. Usually referring to a person, by the way. The last type of adjectives that we learned last year were numbers. There were cardinal numbers and ordinal numbers. Ordinal numbers are pretty straightforward, okay? They're like ranks, so first, second, 36th, 99th, 10,000, and third. Third, that's funny, that's a little typo, it should be third, of course. And they're just regular first, second declension adjectives, right? Primus, prima, primum, secundus, secunda, secundum, tertius, tertia, tertium, so on and so forth. Cardinal numbers are integers, right? They're whole numbers. 1, 2, 36, 99, 10,003, whatever, blah, blah. Most of them are indeclinable, but the most, I suppose, remarkable exceptions to that are unus, una, unum, which is, by the way, a special IUS adjective. So in the genitive, it's going to be unius, 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 and the dative uni, uni, uni. But then the accusative goes back to normal, unum, unam, unum. The number 2, duo, duai, duo, has a sort of strange declension because it switches between, say, like a first, second ending that you would expect, and then a third ending like duabus and duobus, but you know, whatever, you just have to memorize that. And then 3, tres, tria, one of these 2 ending third declension adjectives, and this just declines like a third declension adjective in the plural. Melia is the same way. Melia ends up sort of being used as a neuter plural noun, right? Thousands of people. And by the way, melia takes a partitive genitive, so if you want to say thousands of people, you would say, melia populi. There is one grammatical thing you should remember about numbers, which is that cardinal numbers tend to take the ablative of cardinal numbers. So if you want to say 2 of the men, you would say duo or duorum or duobus, depending on how it's functioning in the sentence. 2 of the men is not a partitive genitive. It is a ablative of cardinal numbers. It is the preposition xa or the preposition de plus the ablative. So if you want to say 2 of the men, you would say duo ex viris or something like that. Okay, thank you very much. Make sure that you have all of this in your notes, that you can show it to me tomorrow, and be prepared to work on some paradigms or examples. Have a lovely day.